All right, today we're going to look at newsjacking with Google Trends. So the basic process is to look at the news, find the top stories, to use Ahrefs that find keywords that capture the public sentiment around the story, to put that keyword in Google Trends and see if there is some sort of sharp upward or downward spike in trends that uh, sort of makes the story, and then to pitch the trend that you find with a headline, a hook, and a comment in your pitch, and then that becomes the story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some examples of this, and then I'm going to show you some ones that I've come up with for what's in the news currently. Bear in mind, it's the beginning of May 2024 here. So looking at April 2024, we found this one, that there was a solar eclipse in the US, and searches for blind and eye damage surge in the US following the solar eclipse. Because people have been, looking at the eclipse itself, they've hurt their eyes. I remember there was an eclipse in the UK when I was about 10 years old, and this happened to me. And looking back on it, it was quite bad because my eyes hurt for days afterwards. And here we go. So we've got the trend, the screenshot, and then some commentary about it. And then we've got the map trends as well. I'm guessing the dark areas are where more people cared about the eclipse. So that's the information that shows you. So March 2024, we've got Kate Middleton announced that she had cancer, and Google searches for cancer symptoms and cancer tests went up. Here's the story. Google searches for cancer symptoms and tests shoot up by 65%. Google queries using the term abdominal surgery, the operation whence the princess's cancer was found, have surged more than 2,000% in the last 7 days. Then we've got some other ones. Here you go. And again, we've got some commentary about the findings and some visual sort of data stuff about the findings as well. February 2024, the Super Bowl happened, and Beyonce's impact. Google searches for Verizon shoot up 4,900% worldwide because Beyonce was in an advert for Verizon. So it's showing, Beyonce says something and people instantly take a huge interest in it, showcasing how much of an influencer Beyonce is. So any journalist who loves Beyonce would cover that because it shows how powerful Beyonce is. So yeah, a new finding from Casino Alpha reveals that searches for Verizon have increased by 4,900% globally in the past 24 hours. And it's about her Super Bowl advert. And we've got another one in the UK. Google searches for how to make money fast and side hustle rise by over 850%. So in February 2024, it was announced that the UK had gone into an economic recession. So, people are broke. So, yeah, searches for how to make money fast shoot up by 850%. And again, they've got the trend itself. And then they've got Marco Farnaro, the CEO and co-founder of Bravo Voucher, said, blah, 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 blah. So you've got the trend and the commentary. That's the format that works. Then January, Mean Girls came out, or the Mean Girls reboot came out, and we've got Google searches for the term Mean Girls fashion jumped 227% in recent days. The movie Saltburn came out, and then we've got here we go, searches for holidays in Northamptonshire. If you don't know, there's a place called Saltburn in the UK, which I think is where Saltburn was set. I haven't actually seen the film myself, but yeah, holidays in Northamptonshire. So holidays in Saltburn have increased 11,000 increase over the past month, according to data from booking software Bokken. But it's not actually, I don't actually think it's Bokken's data. I think it's just Google Trends data that Bokken have quote unquote found. And then we've got another one similar to like Kate Middleton's one. So it searches for prostate cancer, check rise after King Charles's announcement. So King Charles said he has announced that he had an enlarged prostate. So searches for prostate check rose by 242% and 217% worldwide. Cool. So you've seen some examples of this. So here's how you do it. So it's a very reactive approach. So you need to be able to pitch quickly. So when something happens in the news, you want to be able to get into journalists' inboxes quickly. So this, to do this, you have to have your journalist list ready in advance. So you want journalist lists for the key themes that get written about in this way. So segments to think about are health. So we can see the cancer and eye pain examples. Sort of journalists who write about health will write about that. Money. So we've got the recession story example, the recession and side hustle story example would fall under like money and personal finance journalists. Crypto can be a separate one from money. Crypto Google Trends stories are really common because the crypto market is so speculative that people Googling stuff is such a strong indicator of like where the market's going to go that you see crypto related Google Trend stories all the time. Entertainment. So we've got the Beyonce Super Bowl advert example falling under entertainment. Fashion. I found one last year about how the Barbie movie created a rise in searches for women's Birkenstocks. So I guess they were featured in that film and that caused a rise for it. So we've got fashion. So sex, and then you've got like think culture wars. So like any Google trend that indicates like a left wing or right wing sentiment about a certain story. Journalists sort of want to amplify those types of sentiments. So we can divide journalists into those who want to amplify left leaning sentiments and journalists who want to amplify right leaning sentiments. So how you do it is look at the news, just go for the biggest stories in the news. Like the bigger the story, the more journalists are going to cover it, and the bigger your prospect list will be, so the more chance of publication you have. Avoid anything too controversial. These aren't like super scientific data and statistics that we're pitching. So anything that's like really, really important and has the potential to be tone deaf if pitched in the wrong way, we want to avoid. So the biggest story in the world right now is probably the Israel-Palestine conflict. But I would avoid that just because of the controversy, just because of the potential of being really tone deaf. The counter example to that is if you can pitch data that makes the public look good, and I will show you an example of that in just a second. So once you've seen what's in the news, you put a keyword related to the news story into Ahrefs, and you want to find something with a volume of at least 300, because this is the minimum threshold there is to get proper trends data from Google Trends. And then once you've found a relevant keyword with sufficient volume, you put it into Google Trends and you see if there is a spike or a dip that you can create a story about. So the ideal keyword does two things. It captures public sentiment about the news story, and in an ideal world, you want a positive angle. Again, this isn't like a super serious data piece. So if it's going to, so it's just better suited to like positive news angles. So think about anything that's happy, heartwarming, invokes a sense of good feeling about oneself, invoking a sense of being an in group. So being like, this applies to me. Other people are feeling what I'm feeling, or that's funny. So to do this in the US, I went to Google News, and one of the big things in the news at the moment is the Stormy Daniels Donald Trump thing. So, yeah, Donald Trump is in court about stuff, and Stormy Daniels, who is a porn star, testified in saying that she had sex with Donald Trump, and this is news for some reason. So I put Stormy Daniels into Ahrefs, and the one that jumped out at me was Stormy Daniels' video. You can see in Ahrefs it seems to be spiking at the moment, and I put that into Google Trends, and what do you know? There's a huge spike. So the public sentiment that this is telling me is that people are curious about Stormy Daniels' porn career off the back of the fact that she had sex with Donald Trump. So this is how I would pitch it. So the pitch has a headline as a subject line, a hook, the Google Trend stat itself, proof of the Google trend, either a link or a screenshot, and a comment. So here's the Stormy Daniels one. Subject line, Stormy Daniels' testimony leaves us gagging for more. Like there's a gagging order, so there's sort of like a pun there. So it's hi first. Stormy Daniels' testimony at Donald Trump's trial has created a swell of interest in our back catalogue. Analysis of Google Trends data from online dating app Spaff and Laugh, I just made that up, reveals that searches for Stormy Daniels' video have increased by 2,000% in the last, I think it's more like 7 days. You can find a screenshot of these findings below. That's the Google Trends thing. Remember in like previous stories, that screenshot was in the story, so that sort of does the journalist's job for them. Commenting on these findings, a spokesperson for Spaff and Laugh said, given Ms. Daniels' confession about her sexual encounter with Donald Trump, it's only natural that we're curious to see which hole the former president was swinging for on his golf trip. It says in the news that they had sex when Donald Trump was on a golf trip, so there's just a sort of funny little comment about, about his golf trip and with a bit of sexual innuendo. So, we want to pitch this to sort of like New York Post and, like trashy. It's a trash story, so you want it to be like a bit cheeky. Hope this data is useful. Please let me know if you need any further information or commentary on this data. Cool. And then the UK example, one of the big stories in the new UK news is that we've just passed a bill where we're going to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. So I just put in Ahrefs keywords explorer Rwanda. I go into questions, and then the one that jumped out at me was, is Rwanda safe? So there's how safe is Rwanda, but there was also like, is Rwanda safe? Okay, so yeah, the parent question is Rwanda safe? And we see that has 900 search volume, so it like meets our threshold. And we can see there's a huge spike here on the 23rd. So we pitch it like subject line, public concern over Rwanda's safety for refugees. So although it's like quite a serious news story, we can get away with it because it puts the public in a good light and sort of makes us feel like we really like are very caring. It's high first. With the passing of the Rwanda Bill on the 23rd of March, Google Trends analysis from SEO company Olibays Digital found that searches for "Is Rwanda safe?" increased by 5,800% on that day. You can find a screenshot of these findings below. Again, screenshot. Commenting on these findings, a spokesperson from Olibays Digital said, "This increase in interest in how safe Rwanda is demonstrates how much the British people care about refugees. If Rwanda is not a safe place for refugees, and the passing of this bill does not represent the wants of the British public." So we've got the public as the in-group and the politicians as the out-group. So, it's a story that like affirms people's beliefs. So it's the kind of thing that will get clicks. Hope this is useful. Please let me know if you need any further information or commentary on this data. Thanks. So again, you look at the news, use Ahrefs to find high-volume keywords that captures the public sentiment. And, this requires like a little bit of thought and creativity. You then go into Google Trends to make sure that there is some sort of trend around this. And then you pitch the trend with a headline, a hook, a comment, and a screenshot of the finding. Bear in mind that you can also be like more proactive with this. So you can sort of anticipate the news a little bit. So think about things that news stories that like repeat themselves over and over again. So this includes budgets and tax seasons, where there's, so in like June, July, there's going to be a heat wave. You know that in like March, April, there's going to be a lot of rain. You know that in August and September in parts of the US, there's going to be hurricanes. So you can find keywords related to, you know, how to cool down during summer. Or one that I've done before is like beer garden near me when there's a heat wave. Like interest in beer garden near me is like shot up. It shows that everyone just wants to go out and get pissed when it's hot. Again, it just affirms public sentiment and makes people think, yes, this applies to me. Movie and TV show releases and sporting events. If you can build lists around this and think about, keywords that are likely to come up. You can even look at what happened when this news story happened last year and what spikes in keyword volumes were there last year, and that's likely to repeat itself. So although it is a reactive strategy, you can be proactive about it. So yeah, there's an overview of how to do this. Again, you might have to do it a few times before you get a hit, but as long as you maintain these prospect lists, then it's something that you can do quickly and cheaply. So you can give it like a few goes, and if you only get like 1 in 3, 1 in 4, it could still be worth your time.